All right, you ready? We're gonna do some core action. And did someone say something?
No, I'm gonna mute you, mute them for you. Enjoy your session.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's sit tall for a moment. Take a breath in and out. We are in our yoga session together on this Friday morning. Very sunny Friday morning. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And take a moment with your eyes closed to notice whatever you're feeling. It's not a good, it's not a bad. Notice sensation in your body, even when it's still. Notice if you become attuned to perhaps very subtle movements. Maybe you feel pulsations or tingles. Maybe you feel a little bit of rocking side to side. Just notice. And if at any point during our practice it feels safe for you, you might close your eyes, especially in some of the seated poses, as long as you feel balanced and of course you don't feel dizzy. Check it out with your eyes closed. Often my students will tell me that they become aware of new subtleties and they might even feel like they're doing the pose differently when they close their eyes, which is pretty fascinating. Softly open and close your eyes or keep them closed for now. And let's rock forward and back and allow the arms to dangle by your side without controlling them as we rock forward and back with our breath, breathing in and out through the nose. And then gradually let the arms swing like a pendulum. Swing like a pendulum, going forward and back as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And then find that middle point. So between forward and back on your sitting bones. Might go a little slower to figure that out. You also might start to notice a little bit of core activation. And then let's, with our arms down by our side, begin to make circles with your arms as they come up to about shoulder height. And then circle the other way, lowering the arms back down. And let's circle them back up about shoulder height. And exhale, reverse the circle as you lower down. And then place your hands in your lap. Let's round the spine for our first cat pose. Chin is to chest. Gazing at our navel that we're going to give a little bit of work to today. And then inhale, circle the shoulders up and back and around. So come back upright and do about 10 circles up, back, down, and around as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Breath is in and breath is out. It feels like a little massage. And then let's reverse it. So reverse that circle. Notice how it feels. You might feel some little cracks or gringies. I like to call them gringies or sticky points. Sticky points. And come back to neutral and circle your head around very gently. You might close your eyes and feel the movements Notice the speed, notice the circumference of the circle, and then let's reverse it the other way. It's a nice release for the neck. And come back to center. Now, hold on to the seat of the chair. We're gonna rock back, roll the shoulders back, heart is lifted. You're probably already starting to feel the core engaged. But let's take the right foot forward and maybe lift it and just notice right there how you feel. And then lower the toes down and drag the foot back. I know I'm supposed to mirror you and I didn't, but we'll finish it off. Take your left foot forward, toes are down, lean back. Now shoulders are up and back because the tendency is to round here. So make sure you're really opening the front top part of your chest. And maybe lift toes off for a moment. Keeping the spine in line with the neck, all the way up from the bottom of your spine up to the crown of your head. And then exhale and release down. Let's rock forward and back, taking one foot up and then the other. So we're alternating. And you can allow the arms to swing forward and back as you lift the leg. Don't matter whether one's forward or they're back as the leg lifts, don't worry about that. Just kind of swing it and notice when the core is engaging. You're gonna feel it more when you're leaning back. You're gonna feel it engaged, and everyone's gonna be slightly different where they feel it. But generally, when we lean forward, we don't feel it quite as much, though we could keep it toned there. And let's stop that and go back to rounding the spine, which is the cat pose. Exhaling. And then inhale, roll the shoulders up and back and find cow. Now you might take your hands to the back of the chair or the seat of the chair as you lift your heart, or the sides of the chair, lifting the heart, keeping the neck spine long. Then come back to center. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine, or even feel, the front of the neck is long, the back of the neck is long, so there's no kinks. The sides of the neck are long. That's about when the chin is about neutral. So the bottom part of the chin is facing down towards the earth, about parallel with the earth. Okay, now take your left arm up overhead and exhale, find a twist. So we've got our left hand pushing into our right thigh, and push your thigh against it. You might open up your elbows out to the side, breathe in, and breathe out, and breath is in, and breath is out, inhaling back to center. Wonderful. Extend the legs, push the heels down, maybe close your eyes. We're holding on to the sides of the chair, point your toes away. Ooh, I felt a big snap there. And then flex the toes as they lift skyward. You'll feel a stretch through the back of your calf. Try not to lock the knees. Little softness back there. Go ahead and give it a little tap back there. Say, hey, no locking. Go ahead, wake it up. In fact, go wake it up. Wake up the whole body. Kind of give your legs little tapping all around, in and out, and back, and top. And then take your legs back out and point the toes, flex them back and up. Let's circle the ankles around and about as you breathe in and as you breathe out, and reverse it. Circle the toes back in and around. And then pull the heels back underneath your knees. Take your right hand out and give it some taps now. Just and then the bottom side of the arm. And even tap the hands together, flex them. Turn the back of the hands towards each other and tap them. Let's do the other arm, maybe up to the shoulder. Wake up the body. Notice how it does wake up the body. And then let's give a few little taps to our chest area. We can say Om as we do this. Take an inhale in and go Om and feel how that vibrates, and then give your belly. Wake up the belly because we're gonna work the belly. Wake it up and do the sides of your body. And then row tall. Inhale, take the right knee up towards you. Now push your right hand down into the thigh and your thigh up into your hand. You're going to feel muscular action. You're also probably going to feel some core activation. Open the leg out to the side, bring it back in, lower it down. Inhale, it lifts, same leg. Open it up, bring it back in, lower it down. Now, inhale, arms circle up skyward, interlace fingers, press palms up. Yes. Relax the shoulders and circle the elbows. You lower on down. Hands on top of the thigh. Round your spine, belly pulls in. That's core activation. Inhale, arms into a V for victory. Flex your toes upwards. Curl your fingers in, point your toes down. Open up the fingers, toes up. Exhale, curl fingers, toes down. Multitasking. Pull it on in. Let's do a twist now towards our left. Right hand rises. Take the hand, push it against the left thigh, and the thigh pushes into the hand. Bend the elbows out to the side as you find your twist. Breathe in and breathe out. And breath is in and breath is out. And you might close your eyes for this last breath. Come back to center, extending the left leg, interlace fingers, push palms away, bend elbows, and kind of work it out here. That's it. Draw circles with your elbows, kind of wave, making a wave. Catch a wave, make a wave, and then wherever your arms are, go ahead and stretch them outwards and potentially upwards. Breathe in, breathe out. Awesome. Hands to the top of the thighs, round your spine, curl your belly in, and drag that heel back. Now at your hips, roll the shoulders up and back. Lean slightly forward. Notice how the belly is probably not feeling so engaged here. That's okay. Take a breath in and then gently pull your belly in. Now it is engaged. Inhale, the belly expands. You may not be feeling that tone. And then exhale, pull the belly in. Let's take our arms out into a T. So the arms are extending out from our shoulders. The tendency is they might come back, or see if you can just get them straight out. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then little pulses with your hands, pulsing the arms up and down. Breathe in and breathe out as you pulse your arms upwards and downwards. And feel your shoulder blades on your back. Now take your arms back behind you and pulse your palms towards each other. Breath is in and breath is out. And breath is in, and breath is out. And now push down through your feet, arms lift up, maybe gaze up. Exhale, hands at the heart. You guys are awesome. Let's go back to that boat pose. 8 and turn the chair so you can see the boat pose. Now, if you have a second chair is very nice. I might as well bring one over here and show it to you. Here we go. And if you don't have it, that's okay. But I just want to show you how nice it can be. So we're going to go back to our boat pose and go on to our tippy toes. Now, if you have the chair there, you might lift your feet onto the chair. Make sure these chairs are stable. It's nice to have them against the wall. That's a nice thing to do too. So either way, you're leaning back and you're on your tippy toes, and your hands can be at the chair. Maybe one arm is up, maybe neither arm is up, or maybe the other arm is up, or both. So if you're on the chair, it looks like this. If you're not on the chair, it looks like this. And then come back upright and notice how you feel now. Let's take a little twist in our boat pose. We're going to lean back and keep the right arm forward and take the left arm back. Now we're in a twist. How does it look with the chair? Just like this. Breathe in and breathe out. Come back to center. Let's do it the other way. I'm going to switch chairs because I can. And so either toes are down or toes are up. And now the right arm's going back and the left arm is forward for our twist. Breathe in and breathe out. Come back to center. Lower the legs down. And let's play with another core pose. So this one will be fun. They're all fun, right? We're going to use our hands on the side of the chair trying to lift off. So try not to muscle this with your shoulders so much and pull your belly in. So your hands are on the chair and you might close your eyes, you might not, but I want you to pull the belly in on the exhale, curl inward, step down to your feet, and maybe lift your hips off the chair. Feel the core engage and then release down. Now the core isn't the only thing that was engaging, right? The legs are engaging. It's the exhale where we're pulling the belly in to engage the lower abdomen and actually the pelvic floor. Take a breath in. On your exhale, pull the pelvic floor and your lower abdomen in. And then an inhale, and that does feel like it's releasing. Now over time, fully release it, but for now, the best thing to do is release so we're not constantly holding. Again, inhale in, exhale, pull pelvic floor and lower belly in, and then release. Here's the hands on the side of the chair. We're going to do that same thing with the breath. So take an inhale. On your exhale, curl in, pull, 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 belly in, push down through your feet, and maybe lift your hips off. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to lift them off, because that was a maybe. And then release down. Let that go. Let's shake out the hands. And then circle the wrists around and about. One way. And then the other. As we breathe in. And as we breathe out. And then like flick your hands. Flick it. Let it go. All right. I'm going to move this chair over here for now. And then let's do our number 4. Get a hip opener going here. So lifting your right knee in towards you, give yourself a hug. Circle the knee around and about. Hug the knee back in and decide whether you're gonna open up the knee out to the side here on a block. Or, so if you're really tight, this is where you wanna be. Some of you are gonna be able to lift the ankle and place it over and on top of the thigh. No matter where you're at, roll the shoulders up and back, grow tall, then lean forward. You can have your hands on your hips, or maybe they're on your thighs. Keep the shoulders up and back. Notice if your ribs are coming forward. If they're coming forward, your core is not engaged. So pull the ribs to the back of the shirt and your core is engaged even here. Breathe in and breathe out. Take a few breaths. Maybe you close your eyes. You can really feel the sensation of the hip opener, no matter if your foot's down on the block or the earth, or it's up and over your thigh. You can always make adjustments, leaning a little bit more forward. Breathing in and breathing out. Push down, rise up, extend the leg long, and place your foot down. Let's go to the other side. So same thing. Foot can be down, and then the weight's kind of towards the outside of the foot. Knee is outward, or foot is on a block or even two, right? Because we're slowly, incrementally lifting the leg higher as the hip gets more open, or ankles over thigh and knee. We're tall, we're sitting nice and tall. Lean forward. Feel the stretch. Maybe close your eyes so you can really feel the sensation. Notice that the ribs are hanging out. Pull them back. Roll the shoulders back. Now, core is engaged, even in this forward fold. We're flexing our spine as we hinge from our hips. Breathe in. Breathe out. Maybe close the eyes for a breath or two. And then push down through the bottom foot, rise up, and place the foot back down. We're going to move towards some standing poses, and I am going to show variations as we go. So the first one is Warrior 2. For Warrior 2, you can sit. You always want to go towards the edge of the chair as long as you don't fall off of it, right? Not too far forward. But if you're leaning back, if you're back in your chair, this is the tendency. Core is not engaged and spine is not erect and alert. So we need to come on forward if possible, and then you can stay towards the center of the chair. Now your knees can be pointing outward like this with bent legs on both sides, or keep the right knee bent and extend the left leg. Some of you are going to want to adjust your hips a little bit more so that only your right thigh is on the chair and your left hip is off. Choose a variation that's right for you. Then, if it's available to you, take your hands to the back of the chair, roll the shoulders up and back, push down through your feet, and feel your shoulders stacking over your hips. So holding here for a moment or two, as you breathe in and as you breathe out, you might turn your head over towards your right shoulder. You might release one arm or both arms. So here's seated version of Warrior 2. And so we're going to do it both sides seated, and then I'm going to show it standing. So you can either repeat, which is a wonderful thing to do, or you can do one seated on each side and one standing on each side. Maybe close the eyes for the last breath or two in this pose on this side. And then release it. Walk the feet back in. And let's move the other way. So now the left knee's out to the side. This is your variation. Maybe this is your variation, or maybe this is your variation. There's so many different ways to bring the feet. What we're doing, what's the purpose of the pose? We're opening up hips, we're opening up inner thighs, we're strengthening our legs, and yes, we are engaging our core. Take your hands back to the sides, the back sides of the chair, roll the shoulders up and back. Notice that the ribs are coming forward like that. Big tendency to do that. Pull them on back, press down through your feet, and you could, I didn't mention, you could have your heel down or your inside of your foot down, either way. And then gaze over the left shoulder. Maybe one arm releases and maybe both. Imagine that your arms are floating in air. Little floats in air. Breathe in and breathe out. And breath is in. And breath is out. Breathing in and breathing out. Notice if your arms or your hands start to feel heavy, you can always lower them down. Let's walk our feet back in and decide whether you're going to stand or sit for this pose. So here is a standing version. We could have the chair in front of us. We could have the chair to the side of us. You could be against a wall. You know my whole thing about walls. I love walls. So anyway, here we are. Take your feet wide. You always want to be safe. That's number one. Then we're going to turn our toes towards the right. Are coming into center. Then let's do a few bends of the knee. Bending the knee over the ankle and straightening. And bending and straightening and bend it. Now maybe you lift one arm, very similar to what we were doing seated, right? Push those feet down like you mean it. Push the toe pads down, the center of the heels down. Feel your feet activate. You'll feel the arches activate. Gaze over the front fingertips, if you will. So gazing towards the right, maybe deepening the lunge. Breathe in, breathe out. Breath is in, and breath is out. And straighten the leg. Turn the toes forward. Walk the feet back into center. Notice how your body feels. Maybe give it a few little jiggles. And we will do the left side. So we always stand in our mountain pose. If we're seated, we're starting in our seated mountain pose. Open up the legs. Bring them on open. Hands are on a chair or back is against the wall. Feel the shoulders stacking over your hips and then turn your left toes out. Let's bend the knee over the ankle. Now, the tendency is for the knee to come in like that. I don't know if you can see that. So you want to pull or gently press the knee towards the outside of the foot, towards the pinky side of the foot. If you know your knee tends to come in, then bring it out a little bit. Hands are on the chair. Gazing over the fingertips. You might play with straightening the leg and then bending, coming down, straightening and coming down. And breathing in and breathing out. And breath is in and breath is out. Land in your warrior. I didn't mention, if you want to close your eyes and it feels safe to you, you might. You might. Feel that thigh working. It's working. Let's straighten the leg. Turn all 10 toes forward. Walk the feet back on in. Now, you fingers, interlace them back behind you, roll the shoulders up and back, and then press your knuckles away. More forward in the chair. Shimmy your hips forward in the chair. Shoulders are up and back, and press the knuckles away. Feel a lengthening and an opening in the chest. If it feels safe for you, as you feel your shoulder blades come together, you might feel a little bit of a back bend here in the upper body, and then come back upright and release and shake it out, let it go. And we'll work towards our triangle pose. So for triangle pose, this is also a good core builder, because when we're going to the side, our belly has to engage. So now we want to do the side obliques. So you can be seated or standing. I'm going to show seated first and then go to standing. So left knee's forward, right leg is out to the side. Same thing. You could take your hands to the back of the chair so you feel your shoulders over your hips. Notice if ribs are coming forward, pull them back in. Pull them back in, because that's part of the core working. Then, if it feels safe for you, take your arms in a big wide T and tip the teapot downward. Now, as you do that, this area is staying engaged. So the right side of your core is staying engaged as you tip down. You could keep one hand on your ribs or your hips. Roll the shoulder up and back. In order to stay upright and not fall like that, we have to engage. There's a little bit of feeling like you're leaning back, and then maybe an arm lifts skyward. That would be your left arm. Feel the engagement of your core. Feel the pressure down through the left foot, the whole left foot, and the right heel. Now to come back up, we're pushing down through our legs, we rise back up, and then bring that knee back in and step the foot forward for the other side. Left side, long left leg, shoulders over hips, perhaps holding onto the back of the chair. The only thing about this, I love this because it helps us to bring our shoulders over hips, but often the ribs break forward. It's like a break in the body. So pull the ribs back. Then, when you feel that, lift one or both arms, breathe in, breathe out, pull belly in and up. Remember, this is staying strong on this side, tipping now towards your left. Breath is in, breath is out. Maybe you close your eyes. Feel your right footprint as it presses down into the mat and you lengthen up the side of your body. Breathing in and breathing out. And breath is in and breath is out. Pushing down through your feet, rise back up, pull the knee back in, and let's look at the standing. So here we go, standing pose. Actually, no, I need to put it this way. What am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, I'm actually going to turn it even like that. So here we are with we're starting in our mountain pose. We're going to take our feet wide. So wide, push the feet down. So if you are not doing the seated or the standing version, you can do the seated repeat. Lather, rinse, repeat is always a good thing. You'll feel a little bit more of a stretch. You'll feel your body knows more where you're going in the pose. Turning the right toes out, standing tall, keeping one hand on your hip or both. Tilt towards your long leg. Try not to lock these knees. Remember, we woke the back of the knees up there. You might take fingertips to the seat of the chair or the top of the chair. Then take a breath in and a breath out, pull belly in and up, push down through feet, activate your hips and your legs, maybe lifting the top arm upwards. You can bring the arm a little bit forward, gaze at the fingertips if that feels accessible to you. Breathing in and breathing out. Try not to dump into the hand that's on the chair because it's easy to do that. Maybe fingertips or a very light touch of the chair. Push down, rise up, all 10 toes forward, lower the arms, bring your feet back together. Notice how your feet feel now. Let's do some lift of the hands and lower down. Wow, I'm almost touching the ceiling. And lift up and lower and lifting and lowering a few more times just to kind of get some flow here. Always got to change it up. And let's take the right arm to a diag and circle it around, and then the left. Yes, open it up. Big open, wide, circular, smooth movements. And triangle on the other side, standing or seated. We're starting in our mountain pose. Our feet are about hip distance apart. Notice how your balance feels here. Then open up your stance. Open up your stance, push down through your feet. Take a breath in and a breath out. Push down through your feet and soften the back of your knees. Turn the left toes towards the chair. Breathe in, breathe out, pull that belly in as we tip now towards the chair. But our belly is engaged, our abdomen is engaged. Then fingertips might touch the seat or the back of the chair. Kind of interesting with your fingers on the back of the chair, you get a little bit more of lengthening, but go for where it feels accessible to you. And then maybe lifting the upper arm. You might gaze at your top fingertips. Breathe in, get long and wide in this stance, in this triangle. Exhale, pull belly in and up. Breath is in. Breath is out. Pushing down through feet. Rise up. You guys are awesome. Turn all 10 toes forward and walk it back in. Let's do a few walking in place. So swinging the arms as we walk. You certainly can be seated to do this. So seated or standing, walking in place. Seated or standing, you choose. Which one should you do? The one that's best for you, nobody else. Should we count backwards? You got to do it with me because I might mess it up. You ready for that? Let's count back by fours, starting at 100. We're going to be doing it a while. Okay, so 96, 92, 88, 84, 80. Are you guys keeping with me on this? 76, 72, 68. Anybody getting tired? Keep going. What did I say? 68. So now we are at 64. Did I already do that? 64, 60, 56, 52, 48, 44. You guys got this? 40, 36, 32, keep going. 28, 24, 20, 16, 12. Getting tired there? 12, 8, 4. You did it. 0. Oh my. That was good. You guys made me think. Pressure's on. All right, let's go down to the earth. For those of you who are going down, make sure your chair is against the wall to lower down. And maybe place a blanket so that your knees don't have little pressure points that hurt. And you might take a block or a strap with you if you've got it. That would be nice to have. And come on down. Come on down. Slowly lowering down. One and then the other. Some of you have different ways of going down, and I respect that. I'm just moving that out of the way. Then let's come on down to the earth. Down to the earth. So blanket is under knee pads. Palms are forward. If you're not wanting to go down to the earth, you could be doing a variation with 2 chairs, and I'll show that in a moment. Here's our table pose. And then find your cat. So we did this, so you already know how to do cat and cow in the chair. So exhaling, belly pulls in, navels to spine. Hands are pressing down. The pads of your fingers are pressing down. You want to feel like the weight is coming towards that pointer finger knuckle rather than the outside of your wrist. Then reverse it into cow pose. You'll feel perhaps a stretch of your belly. It's a teeny back bend. Exhale, rounding one way. And then rounding the other way. And round it one way. And then the other. Come back to neutral. We're going to go to plank. Those of you who asked for core, beware what you ask for. Now, I am going to show how to do plank standing with 2 chairs. So hold on. But here's plank on the earth. You have a choice. You might put a block in between your thighs because it feels good and engages your core. The other choice is whether you want to be on your hands or your forearms. If you're on your forearms, your elbows are under your shoulders. You want your pose to be long enough so your knees are far enough back that you feel your core engage. And then you might lift your ribs for a moment and then lower them down, feel the shoulder blades come onto the back. So hands can be pressing down or forearms. And some of you might say, I'm going for knees up plank, and it looks like that, with a block or without a block. Key is, we want hips level with shoulders. We don't want hips dropping down, and we don't want hips back like that, because that's down up. So somewhere in between where shoulders and hips are about level if your knees are up. And now I'm going to show plank with 2 chairs for those of you who are standing. You could also do a partner plank with another person in a chair, pressing hands into each other. Here's what plank looks like. Don't do what I just did with the mat. Here's what plank looks like in the chair. So you're standing facing the chair, hands go onto it, walk your feet back, and your belly's in. And now we're in plank in the chair. And so our belly is engaged. So if you're not down on the earth and you want to try this out, go for it. Or maybe you want to try it out another day. But this is what it looks like. And then I'm going to walk back in. Come on back down to the earth. Keep knocking that mat. Perhaps I need to do a little bit of adjustment here. So coming on down onto your sitting bones. And so now we're doing both on the earth, or we already did it in the chair, so you could go back to that. Sitting bones are down, knees are up. You can have your hands on the back of your thighs, heart lifted, ribs back, shoulders back, And then leaning back, and you can kind of play with rocking forward and back. As you breathe in and out, belly's engaged, maybe lifting one arm or both. Now here's where there's just so many variations. You could lift one leg, put it down and lift the other. So you could kind of play along here. You might lift both. You might take your hands back behind you when you lift both. You could have the block in between your thighs, which helps to engage the core as well. You also could have the strap around your thighs. So here we are. This is one version we're doing, and toes could be down. I am engaging here. My core is engaging, whether my feet come up or not. And then release and let that go. What we don't want to feel is lower back pain or a bunch of hip flexor gripping and tightening. If you're feeling that, please come out of it. We want to engage the core. And if you're going too far back, that's perhaps where the back pain is coming from. It's hard to tell here, but there's some type of compression going on. So please come out of it, not the best thing to do. We're gonna lie down now onto our backs and do some core work there. So, then you know what, bring your strap with you because we'll go from that to lengthening the back of the legs. So let's lower down onto our back. Now, if you need a blanket underneath your head, you go for it. And we're gonna start by just bringing one knee in towards us and then the other. And you certainly could do this in the chair. Walking in place, bringing a knee in, giving it a hug, a big hug. Then we're gonna lift the right leg up. The knee stays over the hip and maybe lift the leg skyward. Now, roll your shoulders up and back and push your arms down into the earth. Push your ribs down into the earth. So don't let them come up as you start to lower the leg. We're going to lower the leg. If the ribs come up, we have to begin again. And then if you start to feel them coming up, pull the knee back in and start again. So legs moving upward, ribs are downward, lowering leg, pushing out through heel. And then pull it in. One more time. Inhale, legs up. Exhale, press ribs down. Leg lowering, maybe hold it for a breath or two. And pressing out through heel. Breathe in, breathe out, bring the knee back in, and then let's extend the left leg long and give ourselves a little bit of a stretch here. You might take your arms up back behind you, stretch long. Notice if the ribs lift up, push them down. And step the foot down and bring the other towards it. And let's do the other side. So now left leg is lifting. Ribs are pushing. Slowly lowering the leg down. If you feel the ribs lift or lower back pain, pull that knee back in. Begin again. Lifting leg. Exhale, lowering, pull it back in, lift, lower. So you're going to the lower to the point where your ribs, you can still keep your ribs down, pushing out through the heel. If you feel the ribs come up or lower back pain, you lift the leg back up. So on the exhales where the ribs are pushing down, breathing in. And breathing out. You can feel it with your hands. Tell those ribs to go down. And then pull the knee in and extend the opposite leg and get a nice stretch as you pull the knee in, pushing the heel away, and maybe arms are up overhead. and back behind you. Again, notice if ribs are lifting, press them down and reach long, push out through the heel and the fingertips. Let it go. Pull the knees in. Put your feet down like you mean it. Now go into a bridge if you're on the earth. So I'm going to show in the chair the leg stretch in a moment. And then we'll do it down here. So those of you on the earth can practice bridge a few times, pushing down through feet, lifting hips level, right and left, coming on up, pushing down through heels, and then exhale and lowering down. If you get a cramp or anything, just kind of give it some taps and let it go. We're going to do our leg stretch and then it'll release even more. So come on up a few times. I'm going to come up in the chair and show you leg stretch in the chair just to remind you before we do it, before I show it on the earth. You guys down can do a few bridges and then maybe a happy baby. And then we'll go to our leg stretch. So leg stretch either in the chair or with two chairs, resting your foot on the other chair and crossing that. Tie around your foot. Leg can be down like this for this stretch, or leg can be resting on the chair or something in front of you, even a few blocks. Notice how my elbows are into the side and the ribs are back. So elbows in the side, ribs back, shoulders on your back. That's important. And you can turn the leg out. So you're going to do each way anywhere from 5 to 10 breaths or maybe longer. This is a super important pose. I will show it now on the earth. Make sure you do both sides if you're in the chair or on the earth. So here we go. I'm coming on down. And here's our leg stretch on the earth. So you want to first make sure that your pelvis is neutral. You don't want the pelvis pulling like that in your leg stretch where you're in that like cat pose with the pelvis back. You want to find neutral and belly's in toned. So core is toned in this pose too. Then we're pushing our footprint up towards the sky and pressing the heel away, spread the toes, shoulders up and back, ribs back, ribs back. Take your ribs back. Then stay and breathe. Here's variations. One would be here. So you're here and you're still getting a stretch. That's okay. Or maybe the bottom leg is lengthening. That's for those of you who are super flexible. You can go ahead and do that. So pick your pose, your variation of the pose, nobody else's. Nobody else's. Try to soften and close your eyes as you breathe in your leg stretch pose, which is so super duper important. And then you might take your leg out to the side for a nice little opening through the inner thigh. Try to keep that other hip level so it doesn't lift up like that. You want to keep it down, push the heel away. Breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in, breath is in, and breath is out. When you're ready, you bring the leg back up. Definitely feel what's going on the one side before you do the other. That's where this whole mind-body practice comes from. We are connecting the mind and the body and the breath and the soul and the spirit in a yoga practice. It's not just exercise. Yes, there's bodily movement, physical movement, but it is different. Shoulders are up and back, ribs are down, and you need both, right? We need exercise for sure, different kinds of exercise. I know you guys are doing different classes. Footprint up to the sky. Maybe leg is like that, maybe leg is like that, maybe leg is like that. And then you're gonna find your variations. Maybe you're turning out the toes and the heel is in. I certainly feel it there. There is no question about that one. Just notice where you do feel it more or less. And then with a neutral hip staying flat with the earth, you might open the leg out to the side. Give yourself some length on the strap so you're not stressing out and contracting the shoulders. Breathe in and breathe out. And breath this in and breath this out. Stay as long as you wish in your leg stretch, and you'll bring yourself back out of it when you're ready. So this is the part of the class we're going to be ending soon. You can take your time and stay in poses longer or shorter. For the final, before Shavasana, take a nice spinal twist with your knees going one way. You bring them in, and then you let them lower down. Now, if they don't go all the way down, you can put a block under them. That's a nice thing to do. Some people like to put something in between their knees too, but if your knees aren't going down, something under, I find, is one of the best ways to help yourself relax in the twist. And of course, this is an asymmetrical pose, so you want to do it both ways. Now, this could be turned into a core pose, by the way, but we're starting to relax. But if you want to stay after, I'll be happy to tell you how twist turns into a core pose. Still, it's really nice to press the shoulders down. So this is a shoulder opener pose and a twist and potentially a core builder. And then you'll switch sides, do the other side. So you might be shifting your hips, bringing your knees in, allowing the knees to come over to the side, maybe putting something under the knees if they don't relax all the way down. Open up your chest with your arms into your cactus and breathe in and out. You might turn your head the opposite way of the knees. Enjoy your twist for several breaths. You know, a twist a day is important. Good for the digestion. And then when you're ready, you'll find your final resting pose. So you might put a bolster under the knees. You might put your feet up a wall. You might put your legs into butterfly pose. If you do, you want to put blankets or blocks underneath your knees like this so that they have something to rest onto. And you might have your hands down by your side or hands on your belly. I just realized that hammer's still there because we were hanging up that picture behind us, behind me. So this is a nice resting pose, or go for your Shavasana. Eventually you want to go for your Shavasana anyway with the legs straight, and you might want something under your knees, which is nice for your back. So pillows, bolsters, blocks, and enjoy your resting pose. Super duper important. I know this is the time where a lot of people want to check out. Let's see if you can just check in a little bit longer. Allowing the breath to flow, the body to open and relax. Celebrating, this is almost a celebration of all the work that you've done in the last hour, all the moving, adapting for your body, strengthening it and stretching it, helping it to find its strength and its core. Relaxing the jaw, the eyelids, the bellies, feet to flap open. Being right here in this resting pose. So stay as long as you wish in your resting pose. I'll slowly come out of it to close class, but you know, you could turn off the sound and just relax for a while. We always turn to our side to come up because the spine likes that more. And then use your hands and push down and rise on up. Finding your way to seated if you're not still resting, which I hope you are. Honestly, I hope you're resting and enjoying your Shavasana. And to close our practice, we bring our palms together in front of our heart. And feeling the gratitude for our time together. For all of your presence. And all that brought you here to this moment. We say namaste. Have a wonderful Friday.